Hello, how are you this evening? As always, I am delighted and excited, or excited and delighted, I usually say. So glad to be here with all of you tonight. I was thinking earlier about something that we all kind of take for granted, and that is we look at someone and we go, oh, they're not very nice, or they're not put together, or they're pretty or they're ugly. We make judgments. And it's really interesting because even when we think we don't make judgments, we do. It's just natural for human beings. So I'd like to point out that if you're dismissive of someone, you might want to ask yourself why. Is it something that they are doing that is kind of reflective of something that you perhaps do and you don't like? Or is there that judgment there? And if there is a judgment, perhaps check in with yourself and ask, is it possible there's something going on with them that I don't know about? We don't often do this. I would love if when we're in school, especially primary school, if we were taught certain things such as critical thinking and listening to your intuition and actually caring about everyone. In all the biblical texts, we always hear about how we are supposed to love each other like brother and sister, which I know gets a little precarious if, you're doing something other than just being kind to somebody. But if we take it in the purest sense of the word, we are supposed to love each other. We don't, how to put this, we don't have to specifically like every person, but there is an energy to loving every person. When we put out that vibration of love, it comes back. We become more lovable. We also become more open to hearing better all that is for us from the divine. Just a little something to think about. So if you find yourself making big judgments or little judgments, if you're just making assumptions, perhaps check in with yourself. See where your vibration is. Are you unhappy in the moment? Are you frustrated? Do you really believe that person that you're looking at is doing something they shouldn't? Take a look at yourself for a moment. You're the only one that will know you are doing it. No one else is going to be aware. However, it could make a huge difference in your life because we create our own reality. All right, we have Morgan on the phone, I believe from Colorado. Hello.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Did you have a specific area of focus you wanted to look at or a specific question?
I kind of was just hoping to see what comes through. Maybe anything in love would be great, but I just was open to receive.
Okay, perfect. Being open to receive is the best way to receive. Um,
Absolutely.
okay, it's interesting because you asked about love, and I was just saying a moment ago, as far as, we raise our vibration and we become more lovable, and you're really great about that. Not that you don't have an opinion of other people, you do, like we all do, but you're really great about putting out that frequency that is in alignment with love. You're good with animals and nature. You're kind to old people. You're kind to little kids, even if they drive you crazy. But your core is where it should be in respect to interact with people on a loving basis. As to romance, though, specifically, here, and it's funny because I started out with judgment. You got a little judgment, and I think we all do. So this is not a criticism. I really think, we all have this thing in our mind as to what it's supposed to look like versus just allowing. It's really hard to sit in faith and go, okay, I'm going to just wait and see what happens. We kind of know what we like and what we don't, which is a good thing because if you don't know what you don't like, then it just shows up. Okay, all that said, it's extraneous. I keep hearing May, as in May, the month, not as in the name. There is something really spectacular from the way it feels that should be taking place in May because I get the number 5 and I don't feel like it's 5 minutes from now or 5 days from now. but it does feel as if the springtime specifically, and again, I hear May, is going to have love in it for you. And I just saw like a ring of pink, a pretty pink. It was like a deep rose pink that showed up for me, which means that be open to really having the best romantic time of this year, beginning in the spring. As to other things, I keep hearing education and I keep hearing patience. And patience doesn't seem to be a virtue for you. It feels like you get excited.
Right.
You want what you want when you want it. You don't want to have to wait. It's kind of that expression of like, I wanted it yesterday. That's where I feel like you are as far as patience wise. Just kind of know that if you can be patient, it's really going to pay off for you in many different areas. But I keep getting something with education coming up here. And to me, it feels like continuing even beyond this point. Even if you thought, well, nah, I'm not really going to do that, I do get continued education. And we're in, what are we in? We're in 25. So I feel like between now and 2027, a lot of opportunity for education. And education does not always have to be going to school for, let's say, a 4-year degree. Oftentimes it's short periods of time that you get a certification or that you go in for continued ed. But I do get that education right here around the corner for you. I get it as being a very positive thing. Even if you haven't looked at it yet, just kind of know before the end of the year, you definitely have a connection to continued education. Okay. As to family, you, like many of us, have a very interesting dynamic with your family. You love them. And sometimes they make you crazy. And again, like many of us, though I'd like to make a little suggestion here because you are somebody who can be highly emotional. And when you get upset, you hold it. You know, it's not good to hold on like that. It's better to say, okay, I'm going to let this go. However, it's not so easy to just say, I'm letting it go. What I'd like to suggest is the next time you feel like there's a push, anxiety, just you're not getting things the way that you want from family. In your head, just go, like create almost making fun of the situation, not fun of the person, but fun of the situation. If you do that, you take it with more light, with more ease, and it makes it much simpler to interact. Does this kind of hit home for you, I hope?
It did. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It
Then
sure
it's very
did. Yeah.
okay. And I do get some travel taking place this year. I feel like it's not immediate. I do feel like something comes up actually next month, February, where it's mentioned, and there's almost going to be like a debate. Do I want to do this? Don't I want to do this? And the overall feeling is say yes. But there is a plan that is in motion. And when I say that, it's not so much your plan, it's God's plan. And it has to do with
Okay.
travel. And there will be
Awesome.
2 trips from what I'm getting this year. And the first one, again, is kind of like, do I, don't I just say yes? The second one, I feel like you definitely have a hand in planning it and there's excitement attached to it. I feel like it's celebratory as far as the second trip. This is going to be a really nice year for you. There are some things that you have to put to rest. And I mentioned before about like you hold on to things. You have to give maybe a little work towards that. And this way things get easier and easier in your world. But overall, this year is going to be a nice year. And I keep keep seeing a pear, PEAR, the fruit in front of my mind's eye. I don't know specifically what sort of nutrition is in pears, but perhaps when we're complete with the call, you could Google it and see what are the benefits of eating pears or having pears or what vitamins are in pears. There's something here that I feel like you could benefit from.
Okay, perfect. I will do
Did,
that.
okay. Did you have any sort of questions about what just came in or are you good?
Um, I think I'm good. I was also wasn't. I was kind of hoping to connect with a loved one. I didn't know if there was anything coming through.
Okay, I'll be very candid. I'm not a medium. Periodically, I do get folks that come through, or I get messages. In this moment, hon, I'm not getting anything specific for you. I'm sorry.
Okay, that is okay. I appreciate you and all your time today.
Thank you. And one quick thing on a good note, not getting things sometimes is actually a positive, and I'll tell you why. It means that you're doing okay on your own. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head. Doesn't mean that you're not loved from the other side. It's just a matter of sometimes it's okay that you have a little piece for you to figure things out on your own. Okay, my friend?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Have a great night.
You too. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. All right. I think I saw Jeannie. Is that correct? That's calling?
Yes,
Okay. Hi. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Did you have a specific question or area of focus you wanted to concentrate on this evening?
Yeah, I wanted to know how my current love life is with the person I'm speaking to now.
Okay. Say that one more time because it almost sounded like you said you wanted to know about your parents' love life.
Oh, current, like what's gonna happen with my current
Correct.
connection?
That makes more sense. Sorry, that just kind of came through funky. Not you, it's sometimes the connection. All right,
Oh,
current
okay.
level. Okay, interesting. Current life, current love life actually needs a little bit of, I'm going to use the word understanding. I get there's, all right, the best way to phrase this is I get the sense that there needs to be some more flexibility. And it's not just on your side, it's on both sides. There's a feeling of impatience, a feeling of angst at times. And yet I feel as if it's pretty solid in many ways. This is just telling me that the communication has to be focused more on listening versus speaking. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay. And I'm not suggesting that you don't say what's on your mind. I think it's very important that we express ourselves. But the overall sense is take a moment to allow them to be heard. Process that before you have a retort, before you respond. And the same thing is true with when you go to speak. If you feel as if, come on, just listen, they're speaking over me, they're not hearing me or they're not understanding, actually ask them, can you repeat back to me what I just said? And I know that sounds corny, but it's really helpful because then you're able to understand how they're hearing what you're saying. Too often
Okay.
we don't communicate, not because we're not listening, but we're just not getting it in the way that we need to get it. And what I want to come back to here is I do feel like in many ways the relationship is solid. It's just that you're not both consistently enough on the same page. And the best way to do that really is to express more in a way that the other person understands and that they understand you. And there are many moments where if you can just kind of take a breath and just say to yourself, I'm going to hear them exactly in the way that I need to, it becomes easier and easier to process what they're saying and not want to dive in and go, but you're not understanding, or I get that, but like take the but out of it. Give yourself a gift of just stepping back a little bit. And again, check in with them and ask them to repeat what you said, or even say to them, I just want to be clear that you got what I'm feeling, or you got what I
Right.
really want. Okay. Because I feel like that's where the glitch is. and it can be fixed if you want it to. So don't let the frustration build up to the point where you're like, I'm not doing this anymore because it's too frustrating. This can be mitigated. This can become easier. With you too, there's also a feeling of both very strong personalities, both wanting to be in charge. Kind of check in with yourself and ask yourself, is that so important to you to always be in charge, to always be right? Think more in terms of love over right or kind over right. Now, not always, obviously, but if you're finding that you're having that pushback and you want to strangle them, first off, legally, it's not really allowed. And from the other part, then you end up really being mad. And I'm being silly here, but my point is create a bit of, I'm going to say, joy within the context of the communication itself. Don't try not to, let me rephrase this, try not to take it so seriously, even when you're speaking about serious things. And I know that sounds like a contradiction. It's not meant to be a contradiction. It's meant to create a little bit more ease when you are communicating. We're in, what are we in? We're in January. Yes, I keep hearing September. So September, we're 9 months away. It's not around the corner, but the impression here is by the time the fall rolls around, you can be in a completely different place and in a lot more joy. Now, keep in mind too, I get there's somebody off on the side. I'm not clear if you've already interacted with them or not, but I do get somebody on the side here. You can always make a different choice. And I say this because I'm not of the belief that when we're with somebody, it has to be perfect. And we're not allowed to have feelings and we're not allowed to look outside of that. Of course we are. We're human. I will just suggest that, again, the foundation that's here is pretty cool. If you want it to move forward, think about what we were just talking about. If you're open to doing that, then you'll see some sweet changes. If you absolutely decide that, you know what, that's great, but I don't want to work that hard, or I'm just tired, then honor that. I just know from what I'm feeling, if you allow, it has the opportunity to get better and the connection that's there could become much deeper. If not, just know that by the fall, I get sweetness. Now, whether that is still with the same person or you're choosing to open the door to this other individual that I get on the side, that's going to be up to you.
Another individual on my end?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
And keep in mind, like I said a moment ago, I don't know if they're already in your space, meaning somebody that you've already seen around you, or if they're coming in, but I feel that by the fall, you definitely will know which direction you want to go, whether you continue to build what you have with the person you're with, or if you say, you know what, I need to breathe in a different direction. See, I read a
Okay.
little different than some. They say, oh, you absolutely have to do this, you absolutely have to do that. And my feeling is, I rather you see both sides and you get
Right.
to choose what works best for you in your heart.
Yeah. So it would definitely be someone that I'm going to meet because there's no one other than that person.
Right, right. So then this is somebody on the precipice coming in. And that's why I said I wasn't like 100% sure here if they were already in the door or not. But just know there is somebody on the outside there if you choose to go that way. On a totally different
Okay.
subject for a moment, if I may, I keep getting something with the teeth. I'm just going to say don't put off going to have your dental checkup. There's just something I'm getting. It feels like it's more gum than teeth. If you find there's an achiness or just even a discomfort, have it checked versus, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Couple of
No,
other
I
little quick
definitely
things.
will.
A couple of other quick little things for you. I get behind, specifically right leg above the knee. So this would be more sciatic, I guess, area because I'm getting the back of the thigh. And I get also, interestingly enough, middle to lower back area, a little bit of, I'll just say, irregularity, for lack of a better way to put it. To me, those areas often represent feeling supported or not feeling supported in our life. And I feel like it's more connected to that than it is connected to health issues. If you find that there's any sort of like twinge in the back or behind, again, the right leg, it has less to do with the physical, even though you're feeling it in the physical. It has more to do with what's going on in emotion. So if you notice the discomfort, ask yourself, what was I just thinking about? Or, am I sitting in a place of upset right now? And the other thing that you can do, obviously, is literally breathe in the moment and do some gentle stretching because that can be very helpful. The breathing, though, has a multitude of benefits. I mean, obviously, we breathe because we have to. However, the breathing connects us with our source, with our ability to divine information. It also helps us to actually move out energy that is causing conflict in our world. So, since this is coming up for me, I want to say, in respect to relationships, not just the love relationship, but relationships, think in terms of breathing into the relationships more. And so, for instance, if a family member is coming over, before they even get there, just like stop for a few moments and just focus on breathing, on taking a moment or a pause, if you will, for yourself to be still, to breathe, to re energize. Because what I get is a lot of times you are just so busy that when you finally rest, you're just exhausted. If you take these little breaks that I'm talking about to just breathe, especially when it comes to relationships, and that is all of them, it's not limited to friendship. It's not limited to romance. I'm getting really and truly all relationships around you. Learn how to take like a pause that you say, I'm just going to sit here and breathe for a minute. And I'm just going to focus on me. Think about you time, especially this year, because 25 is more about you allowing that power that you have that you sometimes use for others to be used more for you. That makes sense?
Mhm. Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay. Because I just feel like this is going to be a year to remember for you.
Good.
And
I need it. Hopefully, it's good.
yes, the only other thing that I want to share with you is when it comes to finances, with that too, try to be light and easy. Think in terms of more is coming. I can always make more, or I will find money in all sorts of places. Shift how attached to it you are, and kind of be easier with it.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have any questions that you wanted to cover before we say goodnight?
No, it was just more so I wanted to know if like the relationship I'm currently in is going to flourish.
Right. Okay. So you got your answer there. The biggest thing
Mhm.
is being able to step back, hear a little bit more, and make sure that you are being heard. That's good. Heard
Heard.
in the way that you want to.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Now, we started this evening with talking about judgment, talking about recognizing our feelings. Well, what is it that we're seeing in somebody? Is it bringing something up for us? Is there something to examine? Oftentimes in spiritual circles, it is said that if we dislike something or if we like something, it is a mirror of ourselves. We, though, have the ability to choose what it is we want to look at, what it is that we want to create. The issue becomes us getting too entangled with our emotion and looking at emotion from the regard of, oh, but I have to deal with this, or I have to deal with that, or that's too heavy, or that's too difficult, or that's too draining, versus, again, like I said to this lady we just spoke with, coming from a lighter space. And it takes practice. It's not easy. You'll hear me occasionally say to somebody, talk to that person as if they're your neighbor, or, that some old person from down the street, or a little kid. And the reason for that is, if we shift it here, we shift it within our consciousness, then we're able to respond better. We're able to communicate in a way that is of benefit to us and to others. More importantly, then we are vibrating at a higher frequency. Now, I have a lot of clients who come in and they're like, oh, that person, they just do this and they do that and they do this and they do that. That means that we're allowing them to take up space within our field of energy, as well as within our mind, within our thoughts. Do we want to give someone else our power? Because that's what we're doing when we allow that. Instead, let's focus on, how do I enjoy my life best? How do I really love the life that I'm leading? Is there something that I can do with my thoughts? And if you're thinking, well, I'd like to, but I don't know how to, think about the things that you don't want and what the opposite is. That opposite will be able to clue you in as to where your focus and attention will go best to raise your vibration, for you to be able to have what you want. Most of you are familiar with The Secret, the film, the book. The information there is great, but the part that seems to be left out is really feeling what it is that you desire, as if it's already there. And this too takes practice. The old saying, practice is perfect, or practice makes perfect, it applies. All right, if you'd like to reach me for a private session, feel free to reach out on Facebook, directly inbox me, or call me at the office, 561-755-2166. Love to talk with you either over the phone, in person, or in Zoom. I hope you enjoyed this evening, and I hope that some of what we've said tonight resonates with you, because life is supposed to be lived and be happy. It's not supposed to always be a struggle. It's not supposed to always be something that we're working on. We have to align ourselves with the things that we love, align ourselves with the things that we really want.